Well, the Wall Street Journal ranking the largest airports in the U.S., rating them on reliability, value, and convenience. So we have the top couple of airports for you. Topping the list, we have San Francisco, Atlanta, and Minneapolis. At the bottom of that list of larger airports, we have Fort Lauderdale, New York's JFK, and Newark. Rachelle, this doesn't necessarily come to me as a surprise. We talked a lot about the fact that New York area airports routinely rank at the bottom of these type of lists. Now, this factored 19 factors were taken into consideration when they did come up with this list. I mentioned some of the top there. Security was also one of them. What's your big takeaway from this?
I mean, honestly, the first thing that stood out to me was the lack of the top rankings when it came to the East Coast. I was like, it looked pretty bleak over there. And then when we got to the bottom and we look at some of the worst airports, there they were. I know for me, Chicago O'Hare is always usually a nightmare, but obviously we see JFK and and Newark up there as well. But then even when flying into Fort Lauderdale and Miami down there, it was interesting considering the influx of people that we've seen go down there. I thought that was interesting that they still have not really figured their traffic out either. But obviously DC wasn't on that list there. But yeah, we're not great either, to be fair.
Yeah, well, certainly gearing up to be a pretty busy travel holiday season. I was looking at some of the numbers earlier today. TSA expects more than 2.5 million people to travel on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Now, much better than a year ago, but still below that 2019 level of 2.9 million. AAA estimating 4.5 million people are going to fly over the entire Thanksgiving weekend. That's up 8% from a year ago, down just about 1.5% from 2019. Now, airlines, Rachelle, I don't know whether or not we can count on it, but they're vowing that they've learned from some of the disasters that happened over the summer. They're saying that they have enough staff. They're saying that they are going to be able to meet demand over the coming weeks, but we will see whether or not that actually holds true.
It's true, because on top of the airline staff, you have airport staff also having issues there with staffing as well. So it does end up having a really cascading effect. And in terms of the improvements, I mean, we saw the Biden administration pass its big infrastructure act. Obviously, it's going to take time to see some of that translate into perhaps improvements that we'll see in some of these airports as well. But that's definitely a long game. A lot of work to be done there when you look at some of the airports that are struggling the most. They tend to be the ones that have the highest amount of traffic, especially when you think of New York.
Yeah, certainly. Well, if you are traveling over the holidays, you might want to get to the airport a little bit early, considering the numbers that we're likely to see this year.